Hello, I'm going to present the paper Digital Culture and Learning in Higher Education After COVID-19, a Collaborative Approach in Virtual Environment. Before COVID-19, we were all in our classrooms teaching with our students normally sitting one behind the other or beside the other, normally listening to us teachers transmit an information or discuss a text with them, discuss an article with them. And during COVID-19, we lost this physical contact with our students and we became online teachers. Many of us with little experience as online teachers. But this experience may have brought to us teachers the possibility of changing our way of teaching, of bringing new ideas to our practices as teachers. A few weeks ago, an author in an article in Brazilian newspaper here in São Paulo, who was a former Secretary of Education in our municip, he wrote, and I want to read it here for you, he wrote that we will only wake up better from this nightmare that has been remote teaching if we are able to rethink educational practices from this experience. This is very important what he is saying. We need to rethink our practices through this experience. This pandemic taught us that teaching is not a simple craft and unveiled the enormous professional commitment of Brazilian educators. Our greatest tribute to these professionals should also be to believe in their ability to design the educational policies they will implement. Teachers saved education during this pandemic lockdown. The teachers kept education going. They are capable of this. They learned new abilities with technology. But will they take this to their future as when they come back to their natural physical classrooms? That is the great question that we want to answer. How can the teaching experienced during the pandemic lockdown impact educational concepts and paradigms? How can we do this? How can we bring to our idea of teaching the idea that students learn actively? That we need to teach these students in a manner that they can act over the concepts that they are learning, that they can deal with them, that they can create over these concepts. We need to stop thinking of teaching as an experience of transmission, or I teach, naturally the other one learns. We need to change that paradigm and understand that when we come back, we need to keep this idea that students learn by themselves if we know how to direct the trail that they are going to track to be able to learn new concepts. Our objective, therefore, with this article is to point out the learning experienced by the students and also to conceptualize the actions performed by the teacher so that it can be evidenced that technological resources well employed in an intentional manner, can effectively enrich the experience, the teaching experience, and the learning experience. Our discussion will be based upon the principles that great authors and researchers in education have left us through the centuries, starting with John Dewey, that defended the idea that learning is experience that is reflected over by the student. He needs to live the experience to be able to effectively learn new concepts. We are going to use the ideas of Vygotsky that conveys the concept of learning by anchor, by different levels of cognitive structures that build upon each other as students learn new concepts. We are going to use in Hivalon that contributes to us with the idea that we are integrated as persons, and when we are in a very emotional level, our teaching, our learning is difficulted. And in this pandemic moment that we lived with the emotions very high, many students had difficulty in learning new concepts and concentrating in their readings, and the possibility that technology gave us to interact with each other in different levels may have been a possibility of helping students to put their emotions in a regular level so that they can return to their concentration and to their ability of learning. We are going to use Ausubel that discusses meaningful learning. A student learns when we can link the new concepts that we are going to teach them to their prior knowledge, to concepts that they already have in their cognitive structures. And this is very important, and it brings all these authors together with the idea of Ausubel. We need to know our students. We need to know the way they learn. We need to know their environment. We need to know what prior knowledge they have about what we are going to teach them, so that we can organize their teaching, the teaching tracks, in a manner that they will differentiate their knowledge with the new knowledge and incorporate new concepts. And we are going to use Paulo Freire, that also defends the idea that we need to use the context that our students are in so that we can teach them. We need to know their language, and their language is technology. Our students live in social networks. They share with each other different ideas and different information through their social network. But they don't know how to use this network and all this technology in a manner that they can learn in a systematized manner. They use it for leisure, but not for learning. And other authors, Levy, Jenkins, Basik, Banel, that we bring in our article, discuss how students can use this technology, use their social network, and how teachers can use all these resources to organize teaching methods and strategies to make learning facilitated for our students. Our methodology for this paper was based simply on the analysis of an experience that a teacher had during this semester with her students. There were students from teacher education class, language teacher education class, 30 students that didn't have experience with online education. It was their first experience. And they were given an assignment. They had to read a chapter of a subject about society, technology, and science in the language, arts, and culture. And our as reading this chapter, they needed to reflect upon it, associate it with other concepts, and bring into their analysis and their critics other resources to discuss and to associate with this knowledge. The teacher divided the chapter in 5 topics and divided the class in 5 groups. These groups were presented with a resource called Padlet, and in the Padlet, it's a platform, a digital platform, that permits the dialogue and the convergence of all other types of digital resources. So the students would have, it's a mural, and the students would have to construct their mural with the ideas that they were discussing in their groups. So their small groups would discuss, put this discussion in different languages in the mural to present to the whole class after 2 weeks of works. Alongside with this mural that they were constructing, the students needed to register in their journal their experience as learners, what they felt, what they discovered, what they experienced as learners. Remembering that these students are learning to be teachers. So they were discussing a theme about society, science, and technology, and the arts, language, and in the culture, but they were doing this also reflecting upon the experience of teaching and learning. How we discuss this. This is the mural. There is a link that you will be able to, if you go to the article, you can access this link and see the mural. It's in Portuguese. We couldn't translate the whole mural, but the ideas, a few ideas we are bringing to you. Each group presented a mural to discuss his theme. We are bringing excerpts of this mural so that we can demonstrate to you what these students experienced in their learning, how they used their prior knowledge, how they used their autonomy and their creativity to deal with the new information and to transmit to their colleagues their experience and the concepts that they constructed. So here is an example. They were studying this author that was discussing the social science systems, and they created a tweet and pretended that the author was discussing in his tweet about his discoveries. So the students wrote, "Hello, Internet users. I'm here to explain to you my theory on 3 social science systems, originally published in 1984. But first, I need you to understand that communication is the central element of my theory. However, the receptor doesn't receive information in the same way that the emitter intended, and therefore, so forth." They discussed and presented the concepts that they were learning to the other group. Another group created a video through their WhatsApp, and they created the video in a manner that demonstrated students discussing. So one of the students says in his video, "Hi guys, I was doing the assignment and look what I found. Aristotle considered the gods a society, and all the ones that are not in society are beasts." Another student will respond to this, "Hi, I heard something about that. These non-human societies were taken as examples of what human societies should be." You see that they are working and discussing their concepts, and they are using their language in a colloquial manner and their language in a technological manner. They are used to all these networks, and they are using these ideas, tweets, WhatsApps, to convey their message and to demonstrate the concepts that they are learning. Another student made a comic strip, and in his comic strip, he personalized the teacher, the actual teacher of the class, using pretending that she was in a present classroom. And the teacher used a Socratic method to discuss with them, and they reproduce this as they convey their concept. And so the teacher will say, "Hi guys, today we are going to discuss different interpretations about social changes. What comes to your mind when we think about social changes?" One student responds, revolution. Another student, ideologies and heroes. And the teacher gets these ideas and says, "Congratulations, you are both right. Both ideologies, revolutions, and agents of change, the heroes, represent revolution of change." You see that this isn't the teacher speaking. It is the student pretending to be the teacher or representing the teacher through his comic strips. Other students created newspapers and other types of languages to demonstrate their concepts. And they did this through interactions, online interactions. They didn't meet physically. They met online. They created this online. Another aspect that is very important that the principles brought to us by our researchers, our educational fathers, is the idea of conceptual maps, mental maps that help students or infographics that help students to systematize their learning. Ausubel defends the idea that to learn, we need to be conscious of what we learn. We need to know exactly how we were and how we are becoming. We need to differentiate the concept that we had about an idea and how its outcome after we discuss, after we read, after we associated ideas. And this is what these students did with their conceptual maps. And what is more important is that they registered in their journal how they learned. My time is very short, but I will try to read a few ideas very fast here for you. With regard to knowledge, I can say that the discovery of the process of knowledge formation was something new for me. And to know that knowledge is something so particular for each person, since each person processes information in a unique and exclusive way, is really stunning. This is a student who is learning to be a teacher, affirming how she experienced a new way of learning through this method, through this strategy that the teacher used with them. In my personal life, in a way, it has helped me gain confidence because I feel like I'm making more and more progress. I use the content and discussion of a more intellectual level, even if it's just a discussion at the table with my parents. In general, even in short class time we had, I was able to develop more. It's a student realizing how he learned. I cannot leave out the impact of the methodology applied by the teacher, who, to give us a broader view, engaged us in a dynamic and creative projects, which materialized our vision of the concepts seen in the classes, such as the Padlet tool, the mental map. In short, I affirm that the classes were of utmost importance to my life and that I will take their teachings to my professional and personal space. In the last unit, where we discussed the theme of society. We had to do group work in times of quarantine. I was suspicious of the effectiveness of a task like this at that time, but with my group, I had a great experience. We read the text, we presented the ideas, and one of our colleagues made herself available to draw a comic strip by hand. One of the most interesting things about this first semester is how we are going through an experience that shows us the importance of human interaction, human relations, and the intelligent use of digital technologies. I think this is very important. Like all the other events that mankind has gone through and overcome, this pandemic is causing and will cause significant change in the world. It gives a little chill in the belly to see all this happening and to know that you are living in a situation that without a doubt will be the reason behind the future news. It is seeing history live and in color. These students will not forget their learning experience during this pandemic. Will we teachers remember our experience as we return to our physical classrooms? Will the new normal that everyone is talking about affect our teaching experience? Or will we tend to go back to our transmission, to our text discussions, and our experiences of before pandemics? What we take from this experience is that change will come if we effectively and intentionally insert technology in the teaching learning process. We cannot only live the crisis, experiment with the technology and with teaching in this way, and go back to our classrooms without reflecting upon this and without planning our classrooms with the use of this technology as if we weren't having physical contact with the students. We need to put the learning process in their hands, and we need to drive, we need to create the track that they are going to go through, but we need to use technology for this. We finally have something that can help us make possible the principles that all these fathers of education brought to us. If we plan activities in a collaborative manner, and if we create circumstances for students to be autonomous and develop authorship, then we are going to effectively change. This is what needs to happen in our traditional schools and classrooms. It is not the insertion of computers, of apps, or of any type of technology simply into our lesson plans. It is the insertion with intention. It is the insertion of these apps and these technologies in a manner that we know the trail that the students will take, and we know the concepts that we want them to domain. Technology can be a resource that enhances opportunities for development of abilities alongside subject contents. Technology can be a teacher's ally, but technology cannot substitute a teacher. It is a teacher who knows where she's going or where he is going to take his students. Technology can be his ally. Technology can help him create different environments for learning. This is what our paper conveys and defends, and we hope that you will visit us and read our contributions. Thank you so much.